Last time I read, Leo was remembering, he was flashing back to when his mom taught him magic. And the last thing that he learned about magic from his mother is magic rule number 4. Do you remember what it was? Well, that was like number 2 or 3. But the last one was always leave your audience
distracted. No, for something to look at.
Like surprise.
Wanting more. This is like, yeah. Okay. And he is still trying to get into the ship. So he was making a distraction so that the bots couldn't see him. Skits! Leo said as loud as he dared, not wanting to be heard from behind in case Grimsley's mechanical sentries had returned to their post. Skits, where are you? The only response was the muffled sound of music coming from the ship's engine compartment, piano and strings, sad and slow. Leo followed the sound but stopped when the robot's high-pitched voice came belting along the corridor. And I need you now tonight. Leo shuddered. He burst into Icarus's engine room to find Skits with 2 mechanical arms extended from his torso, one holding a torch that was welding 2 pipes together, the other tapping time on the music against his metal torso right above a sticker for Joe's Crab Shack in perfect imitation of Baz. The music came squeaking out of a speaker everywhere on the robot's midsection, though Leo wondered how in the galaxy she could possibly hear it over her own screeching. And I need you more than ever. She certainly didn't seem to notice Leo waving his arms and shouting her name from the entry, afraid to get too close to a temperamental robot with a blowtorch in her hand. Skits! And if you'd only hold me tight. Skits! Leo shouted, jumping and waving his arm. The robot spun, the music instantly shutting off. Gah! She screamed, her torch flaring, its flaming tongues shooting across the room, nearly singeing Leo's hair. Leo screamed and leaped backward and banging into the wall. Hey, watch it! The appendage holding the blowtorch retreated, folding it back into Skits' metal middle. What the actual heck? She said. Why did you sneak up on me like that? I could have burned your whole ugly human face off! On that table. Skits, please. And where's Baz? She continued, head spinning. Did something happen? Did you do something to him? Skits let out an electronic gasp. Did you kill him? Because if you did, I will have no choice but to annihilate you. The robot advanced a couple of feet. What? No. Would you just shut up and listen? Leo sputtered. Baz is in trouble. He's been trying to contact you. He says it's a code 14. Those, apparently, were the magic words. No sooner had Leo finished his sentence than something flashed in the robot's oval eyes, and she went tearing down the corridor, knocking Leo into the wall, bouncing on her 3 uneven treads all the way to the cockpit. Leo recovered his balance and ran after her, catching her hovering over the ship's controls. Are you powering up the ship? Because Baz said something about powering up the ship. As if in answer, 2 different claws emerged from the bot's body and danced along the console. He could hear the Icarus's systems coming to life. The cockpit lit up in yellow and blues. In 3 seconds, the robot whirred around and started back down the length of the freighter, headed toward the boarding ramp, knocking even more things over on her way, including Leo again. Wait, where are you going? There are armed security bots down there. I don't care, Bastion's in trouble, Skits yelled. Leo stared after her. Robots were loyal. They were programmed to be, but he'd never seen any bot act like this before. Skits careened down the ramp. Leo followed, making it halfway before skidding to a stop. The situation had gotten worse. The 2 security bots were now 4, and they had Skits surrounded, their lasers trained on her. Where's Bastion Black? One of them demanded. In response, Skits turned her music back on, cranking it up even louder than before. Then she exploded. Maybe exploded wasn't the right word, though there was definitely fire and smoke. Skits' ever-smiling head spun wildly as every little hatch and compartment in her body opened at once, revealing at least a dozen arms and extensions of various sizes and types. The blowtorch returned, spouting torrents of flames. Pointy appendages shot out like torpedoes, impaling one of the security bots through its exposed mechanical joints. Thick white plumes of smoke poured from Skitz's backside like a never-ending stream of foggy flatulence. One claw arm gripped a rifle and wrenched it out of the security bot's hands before it had a chance to fire, while flares shot out of Skitz's head, bursting against the roof of the hangar in a shower of red sparks that sent the other traders, merchants, and pilots running for cover. It was chaos. And through it all, the music continued to blare. Something oddly appropriate about living in a powder keg. Do you know what song that is? It's the one I was singing. Total Eclipse of the Heart. We're living in a powder keg and giving off sparks. I really need you tonight. No? As Skitz bellowed like some wounded animal, I hate you all, die, you hunks of rusty tin. Within a matter of seconds, she somehow had all 4 of the security bots disabled. Her head swiveled back to Leo. See, now that's how it's done. The energy blast came out of the smoke, hitting the robot square in the chest. Skitz! Leo yelled as another blast followed, tearing into her threads. The music stuttered, flared once, then vanished. A thick black fume bellowed from her torso. Leo peered across the haze to see 6 more security bots advancing on the Icarus, weapons at the ready. Grimsley must have sent everything he had, maybe even borrowed some mechanical muscle from someone else. One of the sentries raised its rifle, advancing toward Leo, who had soon stood paralyzed on the ramp, his legs refusing to work. Move, he told himself, but he couldn't. He found himself back on the beach, staring up at the sky at another black cloud of smoke, frozen. Even at the foremost guard trained the muzzle of its weapon on him, ready to pull the trigger. But not before its own head shattered, bursting into 1,000 little metal shards. Another blast and a second robot spinning. The remaining 4 turned just in time to see a giant Quilletti emerge from the smoke, hair rippling, robe flapping. With all 4 hands, he grabbed the nearest robot, lifting it clear off the ground before spinning and smashing it into 2 of its friends. The 4th turned to fire but didn't get a shot off before its head was struck by a mechanical fist attached to a mechanical arm, attached to a very determined-looking pirate in a smart black uniform. And bringing up the rear was Baz, both pistols in hand, running and twisting to fire behind him, back at the hangar doors. Definitely outstayed our welcome, Baz shouted. More energy bolts firing the hangars, reinforcements firing blindly into the smoke that still continued to pour out of Skitz's damaged body. What are you doing, Skitz? Let's move. She's got a busted tread, Booth shouted back. The Quilletti had come up behind the robot, putting all 4 gorilla-like hands against Skitz's frame, pushing with all his considerable strength. Her right tread was grinding and sparking, refusing to turn. She started to go in circles. In a heartbeat, the captain was next to Boo, both of them driving their shoulders into Skitz, barely getting her to move forward. Kat dropped in beside them, firing back over her shoulder at a fresh wave of security bots taking cover by the entrance. Leo looked behind him into the belly of the Icarus, then back at the 3 pirates pushing their broken companion into the waiting yellow ship. Find somewhere safe and hunker down. Things could get messy. Things had definitely gotten messy. Laser fire tore through the hangar. The robot was barely budging. Leo knew what he was told to do. He could hear the voices in his head. He listened to his gut instead. Nerds! He hissed again, his boots thudding back down the ramp. Leo squeezed in between the captain and the Quilletti, ignoring their questioning looks as he put both hands on Skitz's heated torso, digging in with his heels as best he could. Finally, something snapped loose or clicked into place because Skitz's right tread started to move again, catapulting her forward and up the ramp. Leo felt a hand on his own back as Baz gave him a push as well. Cap bolted ahead for the cockpit with the captain right behind her. Boo turning and hitting the switch on the ramp just as the posse of robotic guards started to close in. Hold on to something, Baz called over the ship's comms. This is going to be rough. Leo toppled sideways as the Icarus lifted off. He could feel the slight shudder of rifle shots hitting the hull as he stumbled through the ship to the cockpit, finding Baz in the pilot's seat, Kat next to him, both of them cursing under their breaths. Outside the cockpit window, Leo caught the slight shimmering blue of their electromagnetic field that maintained the artificial atmosphere while allowing solid objects such as the Icarus to pass through unharmed. Just beyond, however, Thank you. Just beyond, however, the titanium hangar bay doors were starting to close like a pair of jaws clamping shut. No solid object was getting through those. Leo said. I know, Baz muttered. But I know! Leo felt his stomach clench as Baz leaned onto the ship's accelerator, launching the Icarus across the hangar bay toward the ever-narrowing gap, rubbing against a couple of other ships along the way, giving off sparks. We're not going to make it, Leo thought. He closed his eyes. He heard the scrap of metal on metal as his head banged hard against the console beside him. He thought of his brother and his father. He thought of seashells and snow-covered mountains and the way the pond behind his house would glitter with sunlight. He recalled his mother's smile, and then he heard Captain Bastion Black holler as the Icarus squeezed between the closing metal doors, shooting out into the suddenly beautiful black blanket studded with unknown stars. Whew!